Hi, welcome to this latest. This is more of a channeled message than a typical card layout that I do on this channel, but it's also not just the typical obsidian mirror scrying that I used to do, or that I still do, but haven't been doing with the same frequency as before. And I just wanted to, I was inspired to tell a part of my story because I feel like it's going to have resonance for someone in this collective. And it's a topic that's of interest to me also as a social worker. And I'm sure maybe of interest to folks as well, just because these topics are often interesting to a lot of different kinds of people. So, I am someone who falls into a category of having had a diagnosable psychotic episode when I was in my very early 20s, right as I was graduating with my bachelor's degree. I have two bachelor's degrees, my first one right out of high school. And it lasted for about 3 months, and it was very intense and frightening, like many experiences are for people who have a psychosis. I went through a paranoia. I had what would be considered diagnosable in terms of I had a belief that a psychiatrist might have found to be delusional, that I was supposed to start a revolution. And I went to a pretty far left liberal arts school, so there was a lot of that kind of in the air at that school setting. So it wasn't like out of nowhere, like there was a context that I was in that was kind of coming from as I was learning the truth about certain aspects of world history and human history and the history of the United States, that it's not taught thoroughly or accurately in the US public school system, although that has changed to some degree, right? But there's a lot of charged atmosphere in Olympia at the state college where I went, because it's pretty far left liberal arts school. And so it wasn't totally out of left field that I was starting to have this belief that I should start a revolution, but I believed it literally. Like I am being called by something greater than me to start or to find people who want to start a revolution. But it was also a very terrifying and frightening experience. And I had classic symptoms like hearing voices, although I was really fortunate compared to many people that hear voices in a same like circumstance where there are a lot of other symptoms present that would be considered diagnosable as a psychotic episode or a psychotic severe and persistent mental illness. I lost my train what I was even starting to try to say in this sentence. Where was I going with this sentence? Just that I I don't know. I lost where I was going with it. I'm sorry. It's an incomplete thought. I had a headache earlier and I took a nap, and when I woke up, my headache was gone. But I had this inspiration to do this channeled message reading type thing. So I might be still a little bit, migraines can sometimes kind of disrupt your cognitive flow a little bit. So my apologies. So anyways, most of the people around me did not know what to do. And so because of that, I didn't end up ever being seen by a professional that would have most likely diagnosed me with a psychosis. And especially back then in the early 90s, the prevailing belief was if a young person of my age group had a psychotic break, it was pretty much curtains for me and my future. I was going to have to be on antipsychotics for the rest of my adult life. Antipsychotics are very heavy duty medications. And so I'm personally very fortunate for my personal circumstances that I didn't end up in front of a psychiatrist or in an emergency room or in a psych ward, because I very easily could have been in that circumstance and my life would have taken a completely different trajectory. So the reason I'm telling this story is because I have a lot of mixed experience around having had that experience. For one thing, it was a cornerstone turning point in my life where nothing was ever the same after that happened. And I ended up going to a psychologist after it went away on its own, I cycled out of the psychosis naturally, and then became very frightened that I didn't understand what had happened to me. I just knew that I felt like I had gone crazy, and so I tried to find a psychologist to help me understand and make sense of it. And I found a really great Jungian psychologist. I still remember her name to this day, Dr. Ann Blake. Wherever you are, Ann Blake, thank you. Because she was a Jungian psychologist, so she really helped me tap into not just the Western definition of a psychotic experience, but the Jungian understanding of like the collective unconscious and universal archetypes, and the fact that Carl Jung purposely put himself into an altered state to try to understand and learn from it. And so she was very non-shaming and very affirming. And I don't even think she once mentioned to me whether I should go on medication or not. That was not even her. She was very interested in helping me cope and make sense of it, and could tell that I was no longer psychotic. And so I want to also just add here that I'm using the term psychosis a little bit with a grain of salt, because I'm trained in the Western methods. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I accept that I would have been diagnosed with a psychosis, and I accept that many people who are diagnosed with psychosis lead lives that are functional and included in society when they do take antipsychotics. I'm personally very glad that I never had to take them, because they're medications that make people feel very strange and have a lot of really negative side effects, and people don't like those medications for a reason also. So there's a kind of surging understanding in larger and larger numbers that psychosis is only one way to look at, one framework to look at an experience like that of hearing voices and having what felt like I was being guided by something greater, right? Like a God or whatever you would call that. And Dr. Gabor Mate, who is a psychiatrist from Canada and also a Holocaust survivor, has said that psychosis is a natural response to a traumatized and toxic culture. And so he also is very interested in highlighting and discussing the fact that in other parts of the world, people who end up psychotic young like that, like I was, are not treated as ill at all, but are recognized as shamans. And I do want to just say that a lot of my own psychotic experience was very shamanic. There was a lot of spiritual messaging in there about liberation and about justice and about safety and about love and about oneness and connection, right? So my psychotic experience was based in that, and the voices that I heard were always cheering me on and very, very positive in how they spoke to me. They weren't mean, they weren't frightening, they weren't intimidating, but I absolutely heard voices. I absolutely had symptoms of feeling like someone else could read my thoughts, possibly, or that I was being monitored and watched and things like that. So the reason that I was motivated to tell the story, besides just to share about it and to help people feel less alone that have been through something like that, because there's so much stigma about psychosis in particular, is that you don't have to look at hearing voices purely through that lens. You can look at hearing voices as a spiritual experience, much like what Joan of Arc went through, right? Many people believe that the voices that they hear are spiritually guided. And many voices heard are, in fact, spiritually guided. I just have to say, I've had that type of verifiable experience more than once as a hospice social worker, as someone who has prophetic dreams, right? There's just so much more to our psyches than the Western method can capture in its diagnostic framework. And so I wanted to tell that story because even people that know and love me, who have a memory for that time in my life, still struggle with knowing how to interact with me at times. And it's not fun. It's not something that I enjoy because of the stigma. There are people that have known me and loved me that entire time that I will still catch condescending to me a little bit, or speaking to me as if I may not be as smart, because there's unconscious biases around people with severe and persistent mental illness. Just like there are biases in favor of them, like all people with this type of presentation are genius. That's not true either. You don't have to be a genius to have a psychotic episode, right? So on either end of that spectrum, I want to caution people and their way of thinking about that. But you are someone out there who may be experiencing the burden of carrying a severe and persistent mental health diagnosis and struggling with the stigma that once you've had an experience like that, you'll find people watching and monitoring to see if the things that are slightly off the wall that you say from time to time, are they a sign that you're going crazy again, right? Things like that. Even though this is well over 20 years ago now for me, I still catch people speaking to me like that at times. And I've made the mistake also of telling the wrong people and confiding in the wrong people about having had such an intense experience like that, and then having them use it against me later, both professionally and personally. So it's no joke. The stigma is real. And I want you to know that you're not alone and that you have a welcome place in this space and on this channel. And that's what I'll just share, is that it's not fun to feel stigmatized even by people that love you, because suddenly they think they don't understand you anymore, or they're afraid of you, or they don't know what to do because you're acting differently than the typical human behavior in day-to-day life is, right? When you're in an altered state, it's, I don't know, you're just prone, or you're vulnerable to being judged like that because of a toxic culture, as Gabor Mate accurately describes it. So I just want to pull some cards for you now, and we'll see. These are just going to be advice cards. I'm just going to go card by card. I'm not going to do a layout. And then I'm going to do a little bit of obsidian mirror scrying work to see what comes through. Because you might be somebody that would benefit from exploring esotericism and seeing if part of your experiences might have a kind of a spiritual feeling to you that can help you grow beyond a one-dimensional understanding of something like that as purely chemical imbalance or disease, right? There's so many other ways that cultures and people throughout human history have looked at a process like that. Psychotic episode is one among many, and it's probably the least favorable and the one that carries the most stigma, the most challenges for people that get that diagnosis. Black people are disproportionately diagnosed with schizophrenia. So it's a lot to think about. Bipolar disorder as well, right? I'm speaking about those two. Those are the two big ones, really. OCD and PTSD as well, but those can really alter your consciousness and your perceptions in an extreme way, right? I mean, so can PTSD and OCD, but, you know, that's not a topic I'm trying to tackle here. So what are some things for you to know, or some things for you to take comfort in right now as you're trying to sort through what your own experiences might be? On the split, we have death, so it's a metamorphosis experience that you might be going through. That psychotic episode I had, you could characterize as a metamorphosis, absolutely. It was terrifying, truly. At times, I was a little grandiose and I felt very special and selected, but I also felt terrified and afraid, and I couldn't trust anyone in my friends group anymore. And I'm still friends with many of those people to this day, and they are some of the people that will treat me as if I should be feared at times, right? If I say things that they think, you know, they're always, it can feel, I'm not saying that they are doing this, I'll just say this, it can feel like the people that knew you when that happened are never going to forget. And my friends haven't forgotten. And so I now am careful about some of the things that I talk about in front of them, not because I care anymore, whether they think it's crazy or not, but because I just don't want to I don't want to share that with everyone. I don't want to share deep personal things about my own inner process and psyche when they feel spiritual to me, to a group of people that thinks they were psychotic. Okay, so I don't anymore. And that's sad, but true. So what do you need to know here? Two of Cups. So you have loved ones and friends around you. It's important to remember your community here. And it's okay if you have a small but deep community. You don't have to have a lot of friends, right? Popularity isn't the end all be all. I might be speaking to younger people here that are kind of still trying to sort through that, maybe a little bit, or figure out like, what's wrong with me that I only know a couple people when other people have, it seems like, hundreds of friends at times. Well, for some people, it's the quality and not the quantity. And it's just fine to have a very small select few people in your life that you trust and love, but it's saying that you have that, and don't forget it, right? You do have people that you can trust and that you do care about, and that care about you, is more importantly, at a time where you might be struggling, right? A King of Cups. So you may be someone who is working towards a deeper connection with your heart. And a King of Cups is discreet. A King of Cups doesn't wear his heart on his sleeve. He's mastered the realm of emotions and heart, but he doesn't go sharing that everywhere. He's selective about who he shares with, right? And that might be something that would be useful for you to think about. Six of Cups. So I think that it also might be helpful for you to look back in your life and see if you can sort out or find any information about whether things like toxic culture or childhood trauma might be contributing to what you're experiencing, or whether you think that there might even be anything positive or healing to come out of an experience like this, like a severe altered state experience is who I'm talking to. People who know what that's like, who've been on a side of that and come through, or can speak about it, right? To other people who don't know what it's like. So you're reflecting, or it's suggested that you reflect on your childhood, on your life, on your positive relationships, and on what brought you to the moment you're in now. And it's okay to do it with tears. It's okay to do it with joy and positivity as well. It's good that doing that, because right, that's the Six of Cups, and now we have the Six of Wands. So doing that, and maybe even doing it with a therapist or with a group of trusted people, like Hearing Voices Network or something like that. Those are meetings, especially on the West Coast. There are a lot of Hearing Voices Network meetings. You just have to Google that phrase, Hearing Voices Network, and you can find other people. And the nice thing about that group is that there is no requirement that you endorse Western methods and psychotic intervention, or whether you perceive of your voices as spiritual in nature. There is no recommendation one way or another. Everybody who hears voices is welcome in those meetings, and there's no agenda about whether you should or shouldn't take medication, or how you should or shouldn't interpret your own voices and your own experience. And it's saying that you have victory in joining with others around this kind of topic. So it might be healthy for you, right, to connect with other people who have had an experience like this. And in fact, I think that is what the Six of Wands is about, because I was feeling that personally in the last couple days, just going through a personal feeling of mourning that I don't have anyone around me in my immediate, close, tight-knit group that has had a severe and persistent altered state like I had. And so it's lonely. It's lonely. I don't feel like I have anyone I can trust. I do have a close friend that has it, but she's significantly younger than me, so we're just at different stages in life, and it doesn't always feel the same, right? Like it's a great friendship, but I was just missing having someone that I trust, that I can confide in about this, that isn't going to be monitoring my words to see if they think I'm crazy, right? I just want a friend around it, and I don't have one. So this is meaningful for me too. And watch out for illusion. Watch out for illusion, or for other people trying to define your own experience for you, and listening to other people when it doesn't resonate with you. So I'm aware that I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I have to be careful what I say. So I can't diagnose you. I don't know who you are, okay? I don't have a feeling about who I'm speaking to. I'm just speaking to people in this collective that have this in their background. And I recommend that you talk to somebody like a social worker who's trained to listen to your symptoms without jumping to the Western definition of it. We're trained to take culture, so are psychiatrists and whatever, but I don't think they're as driven to do it like social work is. Social work is very justice and liberation oriented. And so it might do you good to go speak to a social worker and get help sorting through what you feel is happening. Do you feel it's diagnosable and you need medication? Or do you feel that it's more spiritual and you want to explore what this is? Is it like a spiritual gift that you have, right? So be careful, and always kind of remember that you are part of that. You know your own experience in your own body, and it's important that whoever you might see as a professional to talk to about it, that you feel respected by them and not condescended to, right? And it's also important that you even take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, because I don't know you, like I said, and I can't diagnose you from across the void. So use discernment when it comes to this type of messaging, okay? And then Queen of Wands, I think this is what I was suspecting. Yes, Queen of Wands, this is highly creative sacral energy. So a Queen of Wands is someone who, in a very creative, beautiful, magnetic energy, someone might consider she's bipolar manic, okay? Because she is tapped into this deep collective symbolism and knowledge, and everything seems amazing to her, and like she's not sleeping right? Like that's kind of the Western way of looking at a manic, because a lot of times you'll hear that when someone's in a manic episode, the early stages of the mania, they're very charming and exciting to be around and energizing, but as they keep climbing that mania, it becomes less pleasant, right? And more scary as they can't sleep, and as they start having more fearful delusional type things come on, right? So great information here. What else do you need to know? Now let's pull from a couple different oracle decks. And the main reason I really wanted to do this is to speak to a community of voice hearers with the dignity that they deserve, and with the dignity that they're almost never treated with in our culture, right? So I wanted to do a reading that says, I see you. I see that you're a dignified person that's going through something that most of our culture doesn't understand, and therefore either mocks or shames, and that's not going to ever happen on this channel. Although I will admit that I say words like, that bitch is crazy, right? Things like that, because some shit is crazy, right? Some behavior that people do is crazy. And I'm not talking, sometimes I might be speaking literally, but sometimes it's just slang, right? And I'm not, when it comes to mental health, talk like that, like that girl is crazy, loco, stuff like that, like I'm not PC. So I very much appreciate that not everybody likes those words. To me, it's like I reclaim them kind of, but I hear you. If you don't like those words, my apologies. The owl and hop we have on the split, and then the bee and pomegranate, and both of those came in the upright. So what are these two words here or what are these two messages from these two cards that would like to be heard here? Wisdom. Owls are closely associated with Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom. Known for their nocturnal vision, owls represent knowledge and erudition with a hint of mystery, just like what we're saying, right? Not everybody has to understand you. The hop is an impressive plant, able to climb up to 20 feet in a single growing season. Combined, the pair indicates spiritual and intellectual fulfillment. Beautiful. You have come to the end of a long journey. Relish in your achievement, taking deep, satisfying breaths. I love it. It's a great card to get here. The bee and pomegranate. Productivity. The bee and pomegranate calls us to create with purpose, like that Queen of Wands. Take your altered state gifts and create with them. Bees are known for their hard work and industriousness. The phrase busy as a bee derives from Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, written in the 14th century. Pomegranates are tough-skinned and difficult to open, but once their exterior is pierced, hundreds of seeds burst forth, signifying fertility and abundance. You are at your most productive. Take care to ensure your labor fulfills you. So you don't have to be understood as long as you're fulfilled and happy with the work you're doing. If you're in an altered state and people don't understand that, so be it, right? You don't need to do anything about that at all. You're being embraced here by spirit for that kind of lived experience, and you're being respected for it here. What else now? What's one more card before I do a little bit of scrying and then close this channeled message out? What's a final message from the cards before I do some scrying here? Co-create, card number 40. I'm going to read all of these because there might be messages from each different section that are going to resonate for the people in this collective. Creativity, art, inspiration, fruition, manifestation. You may not consider yourself a creative person, but in fact, you are creating your reality every moment of every day via your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, intentions, and actions. Yet you must consider that you do so in partnership with spirit, consciousness, God, or whatever name you call your higher power. You are a spark of this intelligence that works through you, nudging you with inspired thought and intuitive guidance. See, it's okay to trust this, right? You are a paintbrush that co-creates a beautiful, unique expression of your own individuality blended with universal spirit. You are a product of divine inspiration, and now you're aligned with it to create miracles. When you view your life as art and know you co-create it, only beauty and grace result. Prepare to be amazed. Connections of the heart serve to inspire you, opening you up to new ideas you would never have come on your own. You are looking in a mirror held up by this experience and seeing yourself in an unexpected way. Who is this extraordinary being looking back at you? You're going to be so happy that you kept your heart open. Your love is a unique work of art now, the very embodiment of beauty. This is so great. Flashes of inspiration give rise to great success when you receive this message. You are at your most creative now. Whatever you apply yourself to will lead to the fruition of your dreams. Remember that all your ideas are channeled from a higher source. You create your reality in partnership with spirit. The potential for manifestation is unlimited now. Revel in its vastness. So you literally have nothing to worry about. It's a very positive reading for you, and I hope it feels affirming and reaches who it's meant to. It's affirming for me, and for what it's worth, I wish someone would have said these things to me back then. And Blake did what she could. She helped me not feel so ashamed or embarrassed. But, you know, Ann Blake's not in my life anymore. I had to learn how to do that for myself, you know. So now let me just pull out my obsidian mirror here, and we'll see if anything wants to come through the mirror about this experience or this reading in any way. And thank you for being here. And please like and subscribe if you liked this and it reached you and was helpful and entertaining for you in any way. So I'm just opening the mirror. So I'm seeing a snake coming down out of the canopy of a tree. And that strikes me as the like a kundalini image, only it's coming through your crown. So that's like a confirmation that you're receiving some divine guidance. Your ideas and creativity is divinely inspired, and you don't have to fear it. It's okay. It's okay. You might need to get a little bit grounded, though. That might help you. Doing some grounding, like holding a rock or crystal in your hand when you're feeling a little bit untethered, or like you're out of body a little bit, or getting so many creative flooded ideas that you're feeling like you can't keep up. That can feel a little manic and crazy, right? So it might help you to do something to ground your body a little bit to help you channel this energy. I'm seeing a chain, like one of the contemporary gold link chains that the links are real big. I'm seeing like a sailboat, like some kind of an old merchant ship type sailing vessel. And now I'm seeing an altar, and it's an altar that actually exists from a tomb in a Mayan pyramid. I'm seeing a whale. Looks like a sperm whale. Yeah, there's something about identity for you that this is scaring you a little bit. Like I'm seeing the old app face swap where you people would on their iPhones would take those pictures and swap their faces, but it's like not funny. There's something. It's like I'm seeing your face, but it's a swap, and it's disturbing you a little bit. So it's like you're having another part of yourself revealed, maybe, and you're a little ungrounded around it, and it's freaking you out. And believe me, I relate. When I started hearing those voices at that time in my life, which I don't still hear for what it's worth, that was kind of isolated to that 3 month period of time where I was hearing them so much. Even though they were positive, it was still a lot. It was happening all hours of the day when I couldn't sleep very well. So there's something ungrounding about it that you're still adjusting to, and that's okay. Don't be scared. Just take your time. I've heard other readers say this, and I agree, and I do this too when I remember, and I think it's true, is that if you're getting channeled information and it's coming at times that it's scaring you or it's making you uncomfortable or it's not, you can learn to control that. Like that snake coming down the tree and into your crown, you can learn how to say, no, I'm closed right now. Like my energy is closed. It's not available to the spirit world to channel me information. And you close yourself down and your energy down, right? So that you're not channeling all the time. You might need to do that. Yeah, I'm seeing that like like a pygmy race, like the races of people that don't get talked about beyond Homo sapiens, right? Or maybe they're Homo sapiens. I don't know enough about um, evolutionary biology, but they're all different. There were Cro-Magnon people, there were Neanderthals, there were pygmies, and it was showing me pygmies, but the information was not so much about it's important that these are pygmies. What it was saying is like that being a pygmy is such a foreign experience to what we're in that you would never, like, don't worry if people don't understand your experience. It doesn't mean that you're less human, right? Or less smart or less together right? It's very hard to keep that kind of concept understood in your mind though, because our culture, our Western culture anyways, I know I'm not speaking only to people in the West, but Western culture, which has sort of become world dominant, is like does not embrace altered states or unconventional lifestyles, or it treats those as pathological. So it's very hard, but it's showing pygmies as an example of that, to say pygmies lived experience is so far outside of ours, but it's not anything wrong, right? It's just vastly different. So to live as a voice hearer in Western culture is its own kind of challenge, is what it's saying. But it's valid. It's not, and you can join a community of voice hearers and find people that understand you. You're not alone, right? Something about DuckTales, the cartoon, Scrooge McDuck or something. I don't know what that is. I'm hearing Pretty in Pink, the song from Psychedelic Furs, which is a great song and great movie. And again, that movie is also about differences, right? Like differing classes, differing cultures. Andrew McCarthy's family in that movie was horrible to Molly Ringwald, right? They treated her with disdain and as if she was less than. And maybe that's why that's coming through here, is just as a reinforcement that those are old tropes that don't have any bearing on who you are, right? I'm seeing a lot of fish, little schooling minnow type fish, flashing, silvery, beautiful fish. Fish can mean abundance. They're a symbol of Jesus, right? The book, oh God, is it He's Come Undone or She's Come Undone? It's a famous novel. I think it's an autobiographical. The author is amazing. I've read two of his books. It's a story about this very topic, about severe and persistent mental illness. And he's written another one about it too, about his brother that had. I need to look up the books and I'll post them in the comments. I'll pin them to the comments because those books might be very helpful to you. They're written with a lot of compassion and a lot of deep understanding about the complexities of people living in altered states, right? The author had a twin brother, I believe, that was severely schizophrenic. And it's an autobiography of their lives, he and his twin brother, and it's very powerful. It's a very powerful book. Both of those books are really powerful, and they're about mental illness. The Noonday Demon is another book. It's about major depression, like severe debilitating depression, the kind that you imagine like when people literally can't get out of bed for days and days and days. Like that severity level was what the author of that book had, and it's a really great book too about depression. It's very poetic. It's very it's a nonfiction book, but it's reads like prose. It's very beautifully written. Yeah, now I'm seeing an image of Atlas. It's okay. You need to find some support. It's burdening you. You're highly creative, but you might be feeling a little bit ungrounded, and you need to just find your support where you can. And breathing, doing some breath work might help. Pursuing learning how to do breath work. If you doing work with the breath is a wonderful way to manage fear and anxiety and healing, and it's free, and we all have access to our breath at all times. It's doing breath work and trance work through breath work is really amazing. You get a lot of spiritual guidance through doing that breath work, and you can trust it because it's just through breathing. You're not using a substance that you don't understand or that you're trusting someone else to teach you about. It's just you and your own body and your own breath, and that's all you need. And just through doing breath work exercises, you can induce trance and have visions and hear things and see things, right? It's a great example. And yet it's very healthy and very helpful to the liver, to the lymph system, to the blood. It's very healthy practice to do breath work regularly. Yeah, and just, I'm now seeing a heart beating in a chest. Like, just connect to your humanity. Please, like, you have my regard, totally. I hope whoever you are out there, or if there's more than one of you catching this, that you'll feel comfortable on this page and in these readings, and that you'll feel seen and witnessed and cared for. And now I'm seeing candy canes, and I don't know why. I see candy canes a lot. I don't know why that is. If they're just a symbol of joy, I should ask in meditation someday. I'll ask, why do I see candy canes? It might be for the red and white, because they're always red and white. They're the ones I see. Red and white can be associated with, or red and black actually is associated with Eshu, the Orisha of the crossroads. Yeah. But red and white is also spiritual in meaning, has spiritual meaning. So looking at red and white spiritual meaning might have importance to you. Okay, and then I'm just seeing a jawbone of an animal. So that indicates that that you might have somebody. That's usually when I see that in my mind's eye, it means that somebody is doing dark magic, and so there might be someone around you or in your community that thinks of this kind of thing as demon possessed. And so you're going to have to watch out for that too, about who you share with, because if you share with people who think of psychosis as demonic, or as, and that's usually like pretty Christian extremists have beliefs like that, that schizophrenia isn't real, or Scientology is like that as well. So just be careful, right? I guess is what that message is. And normally I don't interpret what comes through the mirror, but this is a different type of reading, and this is a different type of message that I'm getting through the mirror because of that. Okay, and now I'm seeing shop. So when I'm talking about shop, I'm talking about what used to be called, it was called shop, the class in high school, where you go in and learn woodworking and carpentry and stuff like that, or metalworking as well. So you might be good with your hands. You might benefit from working with your hands or woodworking or something like that as a way to ground. Okay, so I think that's all for this reading. I'm going to go ahead and close my mirror, which I'm doing now. And I really want to thank you for being here. And if you liked this reading, please subscribe and come back. I post several times a week, so I try to stay active. Thank you. Bye-bye.